Guys, I have got to get something off my chest. All these years I've been railing about Sky News, accusing them of rank bias, and even worse, just not a very charismatic all-star lineup, to be honest. But I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Well, the bowling ball still sucks, but as it turns out, they're not anti-science. It's just that everyone else was listening to the wrong scientists. The trick was to listen to one scientist and not any other scientist on Earth. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say the Great Barrier Reef is fine. Apparently it's not at risk at all. Why am I saying this? Well, I've begun to listen to the wise preaching of Sky News resident marine physicist.
So let's get a man who is an actual scientist and who puts his name to his work. He's a marine physicist.
Geez, for a channel obsessed with the broadest cultural issues imaginable, they sure do get niche when it comes to marine studies. But look, the title's not important. What is important is that his name's Peter Ridd, and for that reason, it was the easiest nickname we've ever had to come up with here at Friendly Geordies. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Riddler. Oh, where am I? Whoa, what's that back there? It's Perth. Why am I there? Because I'm going to be there at some point. It's there in the description. Also, Fremantle, is that it? Yeah, Fremantle as well. See you then, guys. Tickets are both. As we all know from definitely not the most boring superhero movie of all time, The Batman. Why was it a 3-hour music video clip for Nirvana? Why wasn't it a $160 million Mardi Gras float like it was in the 90s? Batman was supposed to be fabulous. Whatever happened to fun? Oh, well, at least the new one was educational. Robert Pattinson taught us things, okay? Love is eternal, guys, but also the Riddler is a criminal genius capable of extraordinary lateral thinking. I mean, here's the first riddle Peter Ridd left us with. How do you interpret 50 years of data outlining the rapid death of the largest living structure on Earth as... What? Hang on, what's that there? Yeah, no one wants to talk about that little inconvenient truth, do they? Well, actually, I think we all know the answer to this riddle. You get your conclusion only tested by the two greatest minds in science, Chris Kenny and Rita Panay. Look at that. That is the best banner I've ever read. Every time Ridd goes on, he twists the data to insist that the Great Barrier Reef is healthier than ever. Ever. Even Captain Cook going, According to Ridd, he did more damage to the reef than we are now, apparently. In fact, this is what Ridd is repeatedly saying in the Murdoch press, that the Great Barrier Reef will benefit from a rise in global temperatures. Jesus, is the Australians' aim at this point to think of the furthest thing from the truth and report that? On the up, Brendan Schwab set to win Time Magazine's Man of the Year. But anyway, this is this is what Ridd says over and over. He says these points. Listen.
Well, firstly, the Great Barrier Reef has got more coral cover on it this year than any time on record since 1985 when we started. This despite supposedly having 4 devastating bleaching events in the last 6 years, which that scientist claimed killed huge amounts of coral. And clearly they were wrong.
As you would imagine, it's the same trick as always. You pick it up here and then you ignore the rest. You know what Ridd also keeps claiming? That the reef is so resilient that we don't need to worry about it. It'll sort itself out because coral just keeps bouncing back. What he always fails to mention is it's a specific type of no-frills budget shit coral. Like all the 500,000-year-old coral things, that's all gone, but that's fine. That doesn't matter. That loss of diversity. There we go. The loony left. It always somehow has to come back to diversity. It's like someone bulldozed your nan's garden that she spent 50 years on. It's filled with orchids and all kinds of shit. And then Peter Ridd's job is to come in and say, actually, there's more vegetation now than there ever was before. 99% lantana. The garden's never been better. Stop the scare campaign. He also continually claims that agricultural runoff has no effect on the reef, but then just completely decides to ignore the inner reef close to the shore that it actually does affect. And yet, Sky News books this one reef expert more than Triple J books Dr. Carl. Anytime Sky News want to talk about climate hysteria, they drag out the Riddler from his Gotham City loft, which in this case is Guzman and Gomez in Townsville, and then pretend he's the Anthony Fantano of the Great Barrier Reef, the sole authority, giving the reef a light to decent 9, and fair enough. I've never seen someone who looks more like a fawn. No wonder they think he's Pan, the Greek god of nature. A good way to tell if a scientist is well regarded in their field is how many citations their work has had. The Riddler's been cited 4,500 times. Sounds like a lot. An 8 million sperm count sounds like a lot too, but Look, I just needed a way to break to my fiancé that I won't be having kids. You happy? Like, compare it to an actual coral reef expert like Terry Hughes, who works at the same uni Rid was fired from, he claims, for daring to question the dogma. Hughes has 81,000 citations. 4,500 citations is nothing, especially for somehow one of the most famous scientists in the country, which has been bugging me for quite a while now. Why? Why is Sky News always trying to push this very strange narrative that the Great Barrier Reef is great? Like, I get cigarettes, I get climate change, but Peter Ridd's product is a little more fucking visible than cancer in the body, isn't it? But then when you start to connect the dots, you realise that the IPA, that's the Institute of Public Affairs, for American viewers, that's like our version of the Cato Institute or one of the 6,000 other Koch brother funded think tanks they have. Every evil idea you could ever imagine starts in those walls. They commissioned a biting 11-minute masterpiece of a film, deep diving into the censorship and lambasting of this brave, scientific genius, intellectual silverback of free speech. If Peter is the Riddler, then the host of this epic, former IPA colleague Gideon Rosner, he's got to be the Penguin before his face got cut up. Have you ever seen a slimier man than Gideon? We've covered him before, but I think it needs to be acknowledged. Check out this man's presenting skills.
Like so many Australians, Dr. Peter Ridd loves the Great Barrier Reef. A marine geophysicist, Peter has been studying the reef for over 35 years, until recently as Professor of Physics at James Cook University. But Peter disputes the view that the reef is dying because of climate change. Speaking out against this climate change hysteria made Peter Ridd a target of his former employer, James Cook University.
Oh, the timber guys. He could have had a great career on Smooth FM. Gideon's pretty much Richard Wilkins if he'd gone into spruiking fossil fuel instead of Michael Bublé's newest hit. But alas, despite his true career potential, Gideon made a heartfelt short film about the Riddler's court case against his former employer, James Cook University. This case is portrayed by Gideon, as well as the heavy hitters on Sky, as a valiant fight for academic freedom. It's this little human anal fissure against what they see as the evils of marine conservation. In reality, the case was about some clerical issues around the Riddler getting fired, not the so-called fight for freedom of speech on climate change. But basically, what ended up happening was that the Institute of Public Affairs, this is a think tank that has been funded over the years by the likes of Gina Reinhardt and companies like Shell, ExxonMobil and British American Tobacco. They ended up mythologizing Ridd's court case into a fight for freedom. And they have been spruiking him ever since. In 2021, the Riddler even ended up joining the IPA as a fellow. He's gone from working for a university at the cutting edge of research and conservation of the Great Barrier Reef to a think tank with a legacy that includes campaigning to abolish the minimum wage, trying to stop plain packaging, and prove that second-hand smoke isn't bad for you. And of course, rejecting that humans are the main factor in climate change. Obviously, that's a given. And now that he's an IPA starlet, Sky News and the entire Murdoch press have him on regular rotation, and the question then becomes, why is he so bloody keen on convincing the world that the Great Barrier Reef is a paradise in perfect state of nature? Well, I bet it wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that he's in partnership, team effort, with the very industries who stand to benefit from the public perception that there's nothing wrong with the reef. That's right, he's got a mad sponsorship with the Queensland Cane Growers Association. Not as lit as Prime, I know, but just as sweet. That might be why he insists that pesticide and fertiliser runoff has no effect at all on the reef. None. If that doesn't scare you enough, the Riddler's new scheme should, as he's basically recruiting an army of teens and trying to convince them that the reef is fine. You ready for this? Listen to this. The Reef Rebels. Yeah, you kids like Star Wars. We've got a new, Death Star in the Townsville Quadrant sector. Yeah, that's it. It's cleverly disguised as the Australian Institute of Marine Science. Those bastards. They're the real terrorist organisation, I'll tell you what. And you get to be Luke Skywalker. You're all clear, kid. Let's play this thing and go home. Yes, what a bold vision for 2050. Most reef organisations want a somewhat stable reef. Ridd's reef plan is to ensure that we have a future population of Sky News pundits. But here's the thing about the Riddler. Riddles within riddles. I mean, the fact that there is this grassroots organisation up there in North Queensland aimed at denying that there's anything wrong with the reef, a reef expert that can't see anything wrong with the reef, the IPA and the Murdoch press that seem to be putting a lot of time and effort into this campaign that's basically as absurd as saying, everyone in Tuncurry is a bowl of curry. Stop the lies. I'm telling you, something big is happening in North Queensland. It feels larger than the usual industry funding a few press releases, especially when a lot of people seem to be too scared to talk about it. So if you know something, let us know in the email link below. I swear I won't dox you, unless it's convenient for me to do so. Anyway, I'll see you next time. It's obviously a joke.
Bye.
Yeah, sorry. See you guys. Thank you.